Peace, love, tranquility throughout the galaxy. That ain't what we're here for, bitch. You know why you're here. This is the next installment of the Goon series. This is a series in which I take some of our most favorite and beloved characters throughout fiction and go over the funniest, most thug life stuff they've ever done in their portrayals. And today we have no exception in that case because we are presenting one of the most scheming, just savage Sith Lords ever, Darth Vader. If you're a Darth Vader fan, if you're a fan of the Goon series, which has helped boost the popularity of my channel recently, so I love you guys so much for that. Smash the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to support the channel, check out all the ways you can in the video description, as well as if you want your favorite character on the Goon series, either reach out to me on Discord or donate 50 to either PayPal or Cash App and list the character and verse they're from, and I will get it done. But anyways, I'm going to get right into this because I love Darth Vader, and I brought 16 moments today that I think are worth going over in this part 1. If you want a part 2 for Darth Vader, get this to 600 likes. If you want another Goon video, get this to 400 likes. But without further ado, let's begin. So, number 1 for Darth Vader, we're going to talk about his Money in the Bank rematch with Obi-Wan Kenobi in the spiritual realm. So if you don't know, my boy Vader got shish kebabbed by Obi-Wan Kenobi when they initially dueled when he was Anakin. Shit happens, bro. Even a pimp falls down sometimes. And Vader got messed up, obviously, and had to get that new cybernetic body. Well, he ran the rematch back on the astral plane or whatever, and he was like, yo, Kenobi, run it back, bitch. I'm not the same as I was when you beat me. And sure enough, that boy Vader folded Kenobi, showing he was way smarter than he was when he was a younger Goon, showing the progression as a Goon for Vader. Number 2, we got to go over it because honestly, this is like probably one of his most famous outside of movies thug life moments ever. So the boy Vader was out in the desert, right? And he gets surrounded by an army because when you pull up on Vader, you can't pull up for the 1v1 unless you're high tier because he's a savage, right? This army surrounds him and they're like, yo, Vader, don't move. It's 1 against an army. Vader looks around, grabs the strap, and says, all I'm surrounded by is dead people and fear. Some shit like that. Whatever it was savage as fuck. And he pulls out the blade. Everyone dies, bro. Stop pulling up on Vader when he's on his Goon shit. This was one of the biggest L's I've seen a group take. F in the chat for these poor bastards that pulled up and that gave Vader one of these most iconic lines. Next up, we have the time he had to know you a blaster bolt. So this made it because it's so funny the way it's drawn. These troopers pulled up on Vader and they were shooting at him, and Vader turned around and was like, look, bitch, I'm sick of this. Put a hand out and blocked it. Usually he just blocks it, deflects or whatnot. This time he specifically looked back and said, look, bitch, you're not pulling up on me. Deflects it back in one-shots, just headshots. This trooper, it was pretty bad. And it was just disrespectful the way he did it. The way he just looks back casually like, yo, bitch, knock it off. And just one-shots him. It deserved to make the list. Next, we got to talk about the time he hopped up out the bed and nearly got himself killed by putting hands on Sidious. So if you don't know, not many people to ever exist in the Star Wars universe has put hands on Sidious and lived to talk about it. Fortunately for us, Vader did. When he woke up from getting shish kebabbed and Sidious hit him with all the BS that Vader had to deal with, Vader freaked out, and in that moment, despite being weakened from literally just being cut to pieces, threw Sidious with the Force. And Sidious came back and was like, look, bitch, you ever do that again, I'll do what Kenobi couldn't and fade your bitch ass. By the way, if you guys want a Sidious Thug Life video or Goon series video, hit the comment section down below and smash the like button. But anyways, yeah, this moment, I mean, him putting hands on Sidious is crazy. Not many are brave enough to do it, but of course, Vader is. Next up is a hilarious moment because it just shows how petty someone like Vader is. So Vader once got trapped and buried alive, right? Even for Force users, getting buried alive for several days under that amount of pressure should be devastating. In fact, you should probably die. Well, Vader didn't die. And when he was pulled out and analyzed and all this, and they're like, yo, we straight up got to ask the guy, like, how did you survive several days buried alive and you're fine right now? And he looked at them and goes, I'm going to be real, bro. I was pissed. And when I'm pissed, it's all I got to be. All I need is the dark side, baby. And it's like, God damn, that's such a bullshit answer. But basically, he said he was so pissed off at his situation, he just fed off that through the dark side and was fine. That's the only snack he needs, baby, is his need for revenge in the Force. Next up is just one of many legendary ass whoopings that Lord Vader has had to hand out over the years to idiots that press him, right? So he got pulled up on by this Sith warrior, kind of a Sith warrior, dark side user basically. This guy in particular had like trained with Dooku at some point, and he bragged about it. He's like, yo, can't believe you ran up on me. I've killed over 8 Jedi along with their Padawans. I'm the shit. And Vader's just looking at him like, alright, like whatever. And the dude's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you. I'm the king. I wear the crown around here. And he pulls up on Vader. Vader beats the shit out of him. Like, literally no diffs him in, like, one panel. And just puts him on his ass. And it literally says that Vader beat him senseless. And Vader looks at him after folding him and says, you can't wear a crown if you don't have a head, bitch. And the dude was like, yeah, I concede, you're right, fam. And gave up instantly. That is what happens when you pull up on Vader. Next, we have a moment in which, simply put, Vader was too much of a goon to survive. In fact, he didn't even understand it. So basically, you know, he should have died. And when he comes to and he's like tied up, he's like, yo, I don't get it. How am I alive? Like, I'm gonna be real. I shouldn't even be alive. And the person just looks at him and they're like, yo, like, I'm gonna be honest. You're just alive because you're bullshit. Like, you're plot armor. So basically, what really happened, it wasn't plot armor. Vader was so pissed off and had so much willpower to finish what he had started that he willed himself back to life. He was dead, but his will to live literally brought him back from death itself, which is absurd. Next, we gotta show a Jedi learning what happens when you step to Vader, but you don't step correct. So, of course, Jedi, they're pussy. They don't want to fight Vader with the 1v1s. They pull up with a group, right? And they think that shit's sweet. They're going to jump him. They're like, yo, we got you covered. Don't go anywhere. We're going to jump your bitch ass. And Vader was like, yo, I'll tell you what. If you guys tell me where the head person is or whatever, I'll spare the one that tells me, but everyone else definitely dies. And the leader of that group is like, fuck that. And jumps at Vader, instantly dies. And when I say instantly, literally next panel, stab through the chest as Vader is like, I literally told y'all I will maul everybody, and proceeds to do just that. But it was pretty extreme. Next, we have one of the most disrespectful moments, because, like, yo, who says this to their son? This is hilarious with context of knowing Luke's actually his son. So, in the comics, Luke and Vader, during an encounter they have, Luke's, you know, squaring up with him. He's not backing down. He's like, you know what? We could square up, bitch. He's like, matter of fact, I hate you. Vader's like, why? Why would you hate me? I don't even know you, random. And this dude's like, I hate you because you killed my father. And Vader looks at Luke and goes, yo, I've killed a lot of fathers over the years. You're going to have to be a little more specific. And it was funny because that's literally his son. But they're just having that line ready to go just proves Vader's one of the funniest in the clutch when it comes to one-liners. Next up, we have the time that Vader told Sidious himself that if he was going to come for a real one, like Darth Vader, don't send jobbers. So what happened was Sidious actually had some warriors And he was testing Vader. I forgot why, but he's testing Vader because he always does bullshit like that. And they pull up on Vader. Vader hands out the ass whoopings. In fact, just slaughters him. And as he's stepping over the bodies, Sidious is like, yo, Vader, are those lightsaber wounds? And Vader just looks at him and he goes, my lord, if you want to test me and figure out if I'm like that, next time don't send some fucking trash cans to do that shit. And just, Sidious is kind of looking like, damn, like, I guess. But yeah, Vader beat their ass and was like, yo, they're trash. Don't disrespect me with the journeyman. Send some real ones next time. Next, we got to talk about the time he just absolutely ruined the street cred of Silo. So Silo basically was on some shadow clone jutsu BS and was pulling up on Vader, and Vader's fighting him. Silo's talking shit because he thinks he's got the upper hand because he has clones. Like, that shit matters. And Vader's like, yo, you got it twisted while they're going back and forth. And Silo's like, what are you talking about? And Vader's like, you got it all wrong on what I think your best quality is. Your best quality is the fact that I get to murder you over and over. And proceeds to do just that. Literally murders him over and over until the beef is over. It was comedy. Next. This one's kind of generic because within this story arc alone, there's like 20 horrible Vader moments, but I just wanted to speak on this in general. Vader ruining the life of Galen Marek. If you didn't know, Starkiller's life started out basically with Vader pulling up on his hood when he's a child, killing a bunch of Wookiees there that Galen lived with, pulling up on Galen's father, who's a former Jedi Knight, beating the shit out of Galen's father, torturing Galen's father and telling his father he's weak sauce. His lightsaber gets taken by young Galen just with raw power in the Force. How does Vader respond? Kills Starkiller's daddy, kidnaps Galen, raises him to be a Sith assassin, betrays him multiple times, tortures him growing up. It was a horrible lifestyle. I could literally make a Goon video on just the story arc alone, like I said. But yeah, him ruining Galen's life to potentially one day like attack Sidious is complete Goon shit. Next, of course, we got to talk about the fact that he de-limbed his own son. What a shitty father. So, if you didn't know, Luke's his son, obviously. Luke and Vader have clashed a few times, both on screen and off. And, of course, one of the most famous ones, that boy Luke got his ass beat. Vader walked him up and down and beat the dog shit out of him. Not only that, proceeded to cut off the hand of Luke, devastating him and then telling him, oh yeah, by the way, dude I just beat the shit out of, I'm also your father. Haha, you should join me. And Luke was like, what? And tried to kill himself. It was horrible. But yeah, this moment of just embarrassing his son and de-limbing him, complete Goon shit. Next, we got to talk about the time he pulled up on a hut and shit turned into World Star real quick. So if you don't know, a lot of times we don't see people really press huts because huts are so connected in the underground and the galaxy and can get you killed. Vader didn't give a shit about that. Pulled up on this hut. This hut was bullshitting with Vader. Vader literally just raises a hand and starts crunching his fist, and the hut starts choking. The hut's in shock. The hut's like, oh my god, are you doing this shit? You're like getting fucking choked out. And Vader's like, yo, let me explain something. You accused me of trying to use Jedi mind tricks. The Jedi use that because that shit's weak. The Sith prefers Force and just chokes him with the Force. It was so bad. But yeah, he's like, yo, we don't do that like tricky shit. I'm here to beat your ass. Straight up hands. Like, just G shit. He had to check him. Next, we have the time. I mean, it has been seen in Star Wars before, but the way Vader does it is just extra spicy. So this rebel was flying over, shooting at Vader. You would think in a starship, you know, you're safe, shooting at a dude on the ground. Wrong, bitch. Vader looks up at him and goes, all right, time to cook. Takes out his lightsaber and flings that bitch like Captain Boomerang in the clutch against Flash. slings that shit, one-shots the plane and brings it down. It was terrible, and just the way he threw it casually looked mad disrespectful on the fucking panel. Next up, in the final moment for this part 1 to Vader, remember you got to run the likes up if you want a part 2 for Vader himself. We have the time he fish filleted a Geonosian and says it's never a bad time to rob them. So this was kind of like a Doom moment when Doom has pulled up on other countries and shit and said some kind of suspect things, you know, controversial shit. Anyway, he's confronting this Geonosian. The Geonosian's like, yo, Vader, you and your people, your suppressive forces, you guys have ruined us. You guys have stolen from us all this time. You guys have ruined us, killed us, all this. Do you really think you can keep tanking from us? Don't you think it's time you guys stop hurting us? And Vader looked at him and said, nope. Cut him in half. Just killed his bitch ass. I was like, bitch, it's never time to stop being a goon. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. This was 15 or so minutes of Darth Vader being a goon. Tell me what you guys thought about it. If you want the part 2, run the likes up, and run the likes up in general if you love the Goon series. But thank you guys so much for supporting, showing love to this series. Thank you to all my new recent subscribers. Love you all so much. Shout out to all my villains, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.